Normally, if you've got one finger on the brake, you can pull less brake pressure, and if your brakes aren't very good, you're going to struggle to pull a lot of pressure with that. You will see MotoGP riders using one brake and superbike riders, but it's normally for sort of fine control in the middle of the corner, trying to help the bike. So it's personal preference. What you might find is if you brake with two fingers and your brake lever is too far in towards the bar, as you pull it and you really want to give it some brake pressure, it might be that it then starts touching these two fingers. So always watch for where your brake lever is. Now, how do you brake? The way I go about it is at the end of the straight, I sit up, and as I sit up, I initially just touch the brake to begin with, and that first initial touch puts some weight on the front end of the motorcycle. If you don't do that, and you are flat out on the straight and you just grabbed a handful of brake without thinking about it at all, especially in the wet, you could potentially lock the front wheel. But that's really extreme. You're unlikely to do that in the dry. It's just something to think about. That first initial touch, if you saw this on a graph, the first amount of brake pressure would go up like this, and then you would reach your maximum brake pressure, and then it would trail off the whole way to the inside of the corner. So you sit up, you touch it initially, and then straight away, I'm trying to brake as hard as I possibly can, get as much speed scrubbed off with the front brake. Your back brake is something else, we'll come to that in a minute, but your front brake is where all your stopping power is. So you squeeze that, you're playing with trying to keep the back wheel on the floor so you can stop it as much as you can. And again, unless you're top rack, but I'm not top rack. So I'm playing with trying to keep the back wheel on the floor and slowing myself down as fast as I can. The thing you've got to remember is as you're braking hard when you're upright, you're on the big part of the tyre, you lean over, you're going to have less and less ability to brake harder. So the more lean angle you've got, the more you've got to think about releasing the brake. So you do that first initial bit hard when you're upright, and as you turn in, you start releasing the brake. And really, in an ideal world, as you get to the apex, you should be completely off the brake and thinking about getting back on the throttle. All the way up to the apex, you're trying to slow yourself down, and then from the apex forwards, you're thinking about accelerating. So big bit of braking upright, 2, 3, 4 fingers, whatever you feel like works best for you. Brake as hard as you can, let go of the brake, and then as you're turning into the apex, you're letting the brake off more and more and more the whole way in until you're at the apex.